Hey there, welcome to today's crash course on teenage pregnancy in the Philippines, a societal issue tangled with ethical dilemmas. We'll break it down through the lenses of 8 major moral theories to see how each would tackle this issue. Buckle up because we're going from existentialism to egoism in under 8 minutes. First, what's the issue? The Philippines has one of the highest teenage pregnancy rates in Southeast Asia. In fact, according to the Commission on Population and Development, 1 in 10 Filipino women aged 15 to 19 is already mother or pregnant with her first child. That's a staggering figure with real consequences. Why is this happening? Many factors contribute, such as poverty, lack of access to comprehensive sex education, cultural taboos around talking about sex, peer pressure, and even unstable family environment. Teenage pregnancy doesn't just affect health, it interrupts education, limits jobs and financial opportunities, and often leads to lifelong challenges. It also brings stigma, judgment, and emotional stress to young mothers. And that leads us to some difficult ethical questions. Should teenagers have access to contraception and reproductive health services? Should we prioritize prevention or support system for teen mothers? Who is really responsible? The individuals, the family, the school, or the government? Let's explore how different ethical theories would weigh on these questions.
Existentialism, like Jean-Paul Sartre, believe life has no preset meaning. We create our own purpose through choices we make. This means we are free but also fully responsible for our actions. Take a teenage mother. While society may judge her, existentialism says she's not defined by her past. She has the freedom to shape her future through authentic and accountable choices. In the end, the ethical call isn't to conform, but to live truthfully and take ownership of who we become.
Cultural relativism says morality is shaped by cultural norms in the Philippines. Where family honor and Catholic values are strong, teenage pregnancy may be judged harshly. But no universal moral rule applies. Instead of condemning them, we should understand how local beliefs shapes attitudes toward teenage pregnancy. For example, in a Filipino town, a pregnant teen faced judgment due to Catholic values and family honor. A cultural relativist would say this response reflects local morals, not universal ones, and should be understood to its cultural context.
What action brings the most happiness to the most people? Policies like comprehensive sex education, free contraception, and support programs for teen moms would reduce harm and increase well-being. For utilitarians, the ethical choice maximizes overall happiness and minimizes suffering.
Deontology focuses on duty and rules, not just on outcomes. It's our moral duty to protect the vulnerable, like teenage mothers, and uphold their rights. School and families have a duty to provide guidelines, and society has an obligation to create supportive system regardless of consequences.
Virtue ethics isn't just about the following rules or weighing consequences. It's about asking what kind of person should we strive to be. For teen moms, this means cultivating virtues like courage, perseverance, and resilience, facing challenges head on, staying determined despite setbacks, and finding strength even in the toughest moment. But it's not just about them. Communities also have a role by showing compassion, understanding, and unwavering support. They help young mothers thrive, not just survive. Virtue ethics emphasize character development for everyone, because who we choose to be shapes the world we create.
Let's talk about Kantianism. It is a moral theory based on duty, rationality, and respect for person. From a Kantian perspective, teenage pregnancy isn't judged by its outcomes, but by whether the actions leading to it were morally right. If the decision to engage in sexual activity was made rationally, with informed consent and respect for each other's dignity, then it can be seen as morally acceptable. However, if someone was manipulated, pressured, or treated as a means to an end, that would be wrong. Kantian ethics emphasizes that every person, regardless of age, must be treated as an autonomous individual worthy of respect.
Egoism. So, what is egoism? Egoism is the idea that individuals are primarily motivated by self-interest and how it can be related to teenage pregnancy. Here is the explanation. It can be closely linked to teenage pregnancy in several ways. During adolescence, teenagers often prioritize immediate gratification and emotional fulfillment over long-term consequences, which can lead to risky sexual behavior. For example, a teenager might choose to engage in unprotected sex to feel loved, accepted, or strengthen a romantic relationship, placing personal desires above potential risks like pregnancy. Peer pressures and the need to maintain a certain self-image can also influence decisions, where teens may conform to behavior that make them feel more socially accepted or validated. Additionally, a sense of invulnerability or overconfidence common in adolescence can lead to teenage to ignore advice from adults about safe sex, believing that negative outcomes like pregnancy won't happen to them. This self-centered mindset driven by egoism can therefore contribute significantly to behavior that increase the likelihood of teenage pregnancy.
Normative ethics to become asking how should we act. It includes all the theories we covered, like policies and behaviors around the pregnancy. Should law change? Should school provide more education? Normative ethics shapes the overall framework we use to answer this question.
So, teenage pregnancy in the Philippines isn't just a social issue. It's an ethical puzzle. Existentialism emphasizes personal responsibility, urging individuals to own their choices and the consequences that follow. Cultural relativism reminds us to respect cultural norms and practices. Utilitarianism encourages us to consider the consequences of actions and to choose maximized overall happiness. The ontology focuses on fulfilling duties and moral obligations regardless of the outcome. Virtue ethics highlights the importance of building good character and cultivating moral virtues over time. Kantianism stresses the need to respect human dignity and treat others as ends in themselves, not merely as means. Egoism suggests that individuals should prioritize their own self-interest, provided it does not harm others. Normative ethics helps guide